Each and every one of you has our deepest gratitude. In the comments, let us know from where in the world you're tuning in. We'd absolutely love to hear from you. Let's dive in. The air on that Friday night hung heavy, thick with the scent of simmering marinara and garlic bread. Setting the table had just been completed by me. Wine glasses, 2 plates, candles flickering with a soft glow on the counter in the kitchen. Weeks had passed since a proper dinner had been shared between Ela and myself. Tonight, I was determined, resolved to remind us both of what once existed between us. But empty remained the chair positioned across from me. At the clock, I glanced. 9:30. 2 hours ago she was supposed to have arrived home. Once I dialed her number, then twice, but straight to voicemail it went each time. By my third attempt, frustration was gnawing at my stomach. When finally the door creaked open, in she walked, laughing, in her hand, her phone, her hair slightly tousled, her cheeks glowing with a warmth that didn't originate from traffic delays. She froze the moment the candles and untouched plates caught her eye. "Oh," she muttered, her laughter vanishing like smoke in a puff. "I forgot you wanted to have dinner tonight. Stephen needed my help with something." There it was again. Stephen. Stephen, always Stephen. Steady, I tried to keep my voice. "Layla, do you even realize this marks the 3rd time this week our plans have been ditched by you for him?" She sighed onto the couch, tossing her purse. "Drew, please don't start with this again. My best friend is Stephen. That, since college, he's been there for me." "Best friend," I snapped, "or is it something else?" Her eyes narrowed. "Defensive now. Ridiculous you're being. About him, you've always been so insecure. Insecure. Deeper than she realized, the word cut. Insecure I wasn't. Observant I was. The way she texted him late into the night, I'd seen it. Smiling at her screen, as though in his hands he held her entire world. How her excuses always circled back to him, I'd noticed. How my promises were always postponed, while his requests received instant grants. That night, in silence, she ate a few bites of food, under the table scrolling on her phone. Her I watched, the woman I thought I knew, and realized between us something had shifted. Partners we were no longer. Background noise to her double life. That's all I'd become. And then the final straw arrived. The next morning, as coffee was being poured by me, on the counter her phone buzzed. For it she reached, but not before the words, lighting up the screen, were caught by my eyes. "I'll come over tonight. Don't worry, he won't suspect anything." From Stephen it came. From my face the blood drained. Not a word did I say. I didn't explode, didn't demand answers. Simply, I watched as her phone she grabbed and into the bedroom walked, pretending she hadn't seen me notice. Later that evening, she texted me herself. Casual it was, almost careless. "I'll be staying at Stephen's for a few days. Don't stress. Just a friend he is. You know that. Trust me." Trust. Like poison. The word felt. With only 2 words I replied. "Have fun." But inside my resolve hardened. She thought quietly. I'd sit while for a fool she played me. She thought she could walk out, live another life, and return to me as if nothing had changed. What was coming she had no idea. That night into the router I logged and the Wi-Fi password I reset. About pettiness, it wasn't. About control, it was. Online she lived. Without it, she'd suffocate. Then her unopened mail, I gathered. Credit card bills, beauty packages, magazines, and straight to her parents' house, shipped them. Every letter would scream the truth. Here she didn't belong anymore, but physical wasn't the final part of my plan. psychological. It was. I wasn't going to yell, to beg, to confront. No, colder would be my revenge, sharper. Through that door I would let her walk, expecting her comfort zone, only to find it dismantled, stripped away piece by piece, until she realized far more than she ever imagined she'd lost. For the first time in weeks, calm I felt, because burn betrayal may, but revenge, it freezes. And just getting started I was. 7 days passed, 7 long, deliberate days, where to Wheeler I barely spoke, except through short, dismissive texts. In control she thought she was, sneaking around, with Stephen living her secret life. But what she didn't realize was that already, control had shifted. Those days I used wisely. Her favorite throw blanket I moved, the one in which she always wrapped herself while editing photos, into the storage closet. Her shelf in the bathroom I cleared, the counter leaving spotless and cold. From the television, her streaming accounts I unsubscribed. Even the smallest details, the coffee brand she liked, the snacks she bought, from the kitchen disappeared. By the time home she decided to come, our apartment was no longer our apartment. Mine it was. Friday evening arrived. The familiar jingle of her keys outside the door I heard. With the confidence of someone who believed nothing had changed, she swung it open. Her suitcase rolling behind her. Cheerfully she called out, "Drew, I'm back." Through the empty air her voice echoed. Gone were the candles. The flowers she liked to keep by the window had been thrown out. Rearranged was the living room, cleaner, sharper, of softness stripped. "Drew," again she called, into her tone hesitation creeping. Her phone she tried, frowned, then under her breath muttered. Wi-Fi again. From the hallway I watched, arms crossed. As with her phone she fumbled, confused. The room her eyes scanned, and dawning I could see the realization. Wrong, something was. Finally me she noticed, against the doorway leaning. "Hey, babe," carefully she said, as if with her usual charm she could smooth over everything. "Stephen just needed a little help with some things, but now I'm back. What's for dinner?" An eyebrow I raised. "A week you were gone, Layla. That's not just helping with some things." Her smile faltered. "Oh, come on. Don't start. How close Stephen and I are, you know. Friends forever we've been. Way out of proportion you're blowing this." "Am I?" Closer I stepped, my voice steady, deliberate. "Then why did he text you that anything I wouldn't suspect?" Of color her face strained. For the first time, a ready excuse she didn't have. Her mouth. She opened, closed it, then forced a laugh that more like a cough sounded. "Misunderstood you must have. Joking." He was. "Joking," coldly I repeated. "Right, just like joking you were, when not to be insecure you told me. Just like joking you were, every time to run to him you brushed me off." The silence stretched. Suffocate her, I let it. Finally she snapped. "Fine. Yes, with him I stayed. But Drew, what you think it's not. Just talking we're. So distant you've been lately, so wrapped up in your work. To me Stephen listens in ways you don't anymore." Her words stung, but knew they weren't. In my head 100 times during that week, already I dissected them. As confessions dressed, excuses were. "Right you are," flatly I said. "Working I was. Working so without worrying about rent, your little dreams you could chase. Without worrying about bills. But clearly, listening wasn't what you wanted. Someone else's arms, you wanted." She blinked. By the sharpness of my tone, stunned. For the first time she realized I think that begging her to stay I wasn't. "Drew, like this don't be. That I love you, you know." For my arm she reached, but before her hand touched me I pulled back, No, Layla. Convenience you love. Attention you love. By someone else the thrill of being wanted you love, while as your safety net keeping me. But me you don't love. Her lips trembled. True, that's not. It is. I cut in, my voice like steel. And that's why back to normal things won't be going. Around the room her eyes darted, to panic, confusion turning. The missing blanket she noticed, the empty bathroom shelf, the barren coffee table. Her breathing quickened. Where's my stuff? My things. Where are they, Drew? Calm, controlled, I smiled. At your parents', your mail is, your packages too. As for the rest, gone considerate. With a liar I don't live, not anymore. Sharp and desperate, her voice cracked. Serious you can't be. Like this you can't just erase me. Oh, can I? Softly I said, closer leaning so every word she could hear. And the best part, the satisfaction of a screaming match or a dramatic fight you don't even get. Silence you get. There you get to stand and realize your game. I'm not playing anymore. At me she stared, in her eyes, tears welling up. But fall, her pride wouldn't let them. This you'll regret, she hissed. About me Stephen cares. For me he'll be here when you're not. A dark laugh I let out. Stephen, the guy who behind my back whispers and to fill his own ego uses you. Your future he's not, Layla. Your downfall he is, and one day that you will see. For a moment, like she might collapse, she looked. Then, with shaking hands, her suitcase she grabbed and toward the door stormed. Before shut, she slammed it. Back she turned, eyes blazing. Punishing me you think you're Drew, but proving you're only that alone you'll always be. I didn't flinch. I didn't answer. The door behind her, simply I locked into nothing, letting the echo of her words dissolve. Alone? No. For the first time in months, alone I wasn't. Free I was. But finished the real revenge wasn't. Back she'd come crawling again, I knew. Once of her Stephen grew tired, once faded the thrill. And when she did, ready I would be, with the final move that shattered, would leave her. Just about ending things, this wasn't. About making sure exactly what she threw away. She understood this was. And only just beginning, that lesson was. Than I had ever known it to be, quieter was the apartment. No half-finished coffee mugs on the counter left. No piles of clothes on the couch. No faint sound of the space filling her laughter. For most people, sting that emptiness would. But for me, liberation, it was. With a clear mind the next morning, I woke. No unanswered texts over which to obsess. No in my chest eating gnawing suspicion. Just clarity and silence. For the first time in months, for myself, I made breakfast. Not for two. For a run I went, headphones blaring, then the last lighter every stride, as though around my neck a heavy chain I'd been carrying, and finally away it had fallen. But long the peace didn't last. By Monday evening, with Ela's name my phone lit up. The screen dozens of messages filled. Drew, the way it came out I didn't mean it. Please, back let me come and explain. What I thought it would be Stephen's place isn't. You I need. Through them I scrolled without replying, a clearer picture, each one painting. She had put Stephen on the pedestal, and faster than I expected, it was crumbling. By Wednesday, non-stop she was calling. Voicemails poured in, with desperation her voice cracking. Drew, please pick up. A mistake I made. You, he's not. You no one will ever be. Just one more chance give me. To one I listened just long enough, the tremble in her voice to catch, then deleted the rest. About shouting or gloating, revenge wasn't. About silence it was. About against walls that would never answer, letting her words bounce back. Still, with just ignoring her satisfied, I wasn't. Too easy that was. The weight of her betrayal she needed to feel in every part of her life. More than she realized, she depended on me, I knew. Her photography career wasn't thriving. A hobby it was, subsidizing I'd been. Without my financial support, struggling she'd be. Without the apartment under her parents' roof, she'd be back, the very place to which she swore she'd never return. So from pleading to demanding, when her messages turned, to strike the final blow, I decided. One evening, after another round of unanswered calls, to her a single message I sent. Layla, the best I wish you, but over this chapter is. Here, don't come back. You're home, it's not anymore. No anger, no insults, just finality. Instantly she responded, of denial, a storm. That you don't mean. Just hurt you. At the apartment tomorrow, I'll be. To talk we need. But the next day when she showed up, suitcase in hand, even get inside, she couldn't. No longer worked her key. On the door she pounded, my name calling, under the weight of disbelief, her voice cracking. Drew, this door open. Fix this, we can. To me, don't do this. In the kitchen silently I stood, coffee sipping, against the locked door to her voice fade, listening, music each desperate knock was. A reminder that over me power she no longer had. Finally, when going to respond I wasn't, she realized. She left. Down the hall her footsteps retreated, like a sad song echoing. The end of it that might be, I thought, but it wasn't. A few days later, reaching out to mutual friends started. Hey man, you overreacted, Wyla says. People she's telling you locked her out for no reason. Going on what? Bitterly I smiled. Of course the story she tried to rewrite. Cheaters do always. But this time, on my side, the truth was, with screenshots or public drama, her I didn't expose. Too easy that would have been. Instead, calmly I told them, her ask why with Stephen, instead of me, she was living. Her ask who at midnight she was texting. From those friends that followed, the silence was all the confirmation I needed. Her carefully crafted image of the sweet, loyal girlfriend being was cracking, and she knew it. By the end of the week, one last time she came back, outside the building standing with down her face, tears streaming. From a window I watched as up at my apartment she shouted, Drew, please. Him I don't want. You I want. This away don't throw. For a moment, me a flicker of pity touched. Memories we had shared. Dreams, once love. But then, the way she laughed when late she came home, I remembered. The lies to me she fed. Behind every trust me, hidden the betrayal. So the blinds I closed, and into the night, let her cries fade. Between us that was the difference. Loyal I had been, patient, forgiving. Reckless she had been, selfish and deceitful. And now with the consequences she would live, because screaming or fighting, the harshest revenge isn't. Indifference, it's. The bitter reality of everything they took for granted, losing someone taste its letting. Our future for a fleeing Layla had gambled, and lost she had. To raise my voice I didn't need. To prove anything I didn't need. The silence, the locked doors, of me the absence, enough that was revenge. And destroying her it was, already, I could tell. Weeks passed. Wila's return attempts that was the storm eventually quieted. At the door showing up she stopped, slowed the constant messages, then ceased altogether. For the first time in a long time, my apartment, my life, again steady was. But lingering away betrayal has. Every time on social media her name popped up, every time her mutual friends mentioned, of anger a flicker I felt. Not because her I missed, but because how easily, while as her safety net keeping me, she had tried to replace me, I remembered. Then one evening, from an old friend of hers, a message I got. Drew, no, you should. Wyla and Steven aren't doing well. Ignoring her he's been. Word is someone else he's seeing. Almost laughed I. Sharp the irony was. For him, our relationship she had burned down, only just as carelessly to be discarded. Surprising it wasn't. As the kind of man who on stealing thrived, not building, Steven had always struck me. Forever Layla he never wanted. For conquest, he wanted her. And now with nothing she was left. To deliver the final reminder of what she had lost, that was when I decided. Not out of cruelty, but because only when to their face the mirror is held up, sometimes people learn. To her one last letter I wrote, handwritten, not digital. So twist or screenshot it. She couldn't. Angry it wasn't. Nor was it pleading. Cold it was. Factual and final. Layla, once to me you told I was the kind of man of whom girls dream, but a nightmare instead you chose. From loyalty you walked away, stability and love, for a thrill that barely weeks lasted, and now back you want to crawl. But the truth is, for you here there's nothing left. Like a revolving door, love you don't get to treat. Not with me. You I won't expose. About what you did I won't shout. From me you're hearing the silence. My closure, that's. With it, live. From it, learn. Drew. To her parents' house I mailed it. The same place to which weeks earlier all her belongings I had redirected. A few days later, from a mutual friend I heard that at the dinner table she had read it, her hands trembling, her face pale. In front of them she hadn't cried, but volumes the silence in the room spoke. Even her parents, who once me adored, of what she had thrown away, the gravity, had realized. From that point forward, trying, she stopped. No more texts, no more late-night calls, no more in my building appearances. From my life she faded, behind nothing, leaving but memories that hurt no longer. Of the man I refused to be again, they simply reminded me. And as for me, forward I moved. With new routines my days filled. On my career I focused, into projects. For her I had once postponed through myself. With friends in months I hadn't seen, I reconnected. Slowly, again, smiling, I started. Not because to Layla anything prove I wanted to, but because finally, myself, I had reclaimed. This the biggest lesson I learned was, with the act itself, betrayal doesn't end. With how you respond it ends. Some people scream, some beg, apart completely. Some break, differently I chose. To stay calm I chose. My space to reclaim. My sharpest weapons, silence and distance to let become. The truth was, her long before my revenge took shape, Wyla's betrayal had already destroyed. Scrambling she was left, humiliated, exposed, while than before stronger I stood. Months later at a mutual friends gathering, again, for the first time I saw her. Off to the side she was standing, a glass of water clutching. Tight and fragile her smile. With her Steven wasn't, thinner she looked, more tired. Dulled her energy. When mine her eyes met, she froze. For a moment recognition I saw, regret, maybe even longing. But the reaction she wanted her, I didn't give. Politely, simply, I nodded, turned, and to join the group with whom I had been laughing, walked away. That small act, without a word walking away, in the coffin, was the final nail. That over me power she no longer had it showed her. And as later that night the gathering I left, then ever lighter I felt. Explosions or grand scenes revenge doesn't always need. Sometimes quiet is the most powerful revenge, calculated and unforgettable. With love Layla had gambled, in the shadows waiting, she could have me thinking, while with fire she played. But when expecting normalcy back she came, was silence all she found.